All right, let's get right into the propaganda. How does that sound? Was that a good start to this video? Okay, so a lot of you guys have been asking me to talk about the H2ODelirious situation with a bunch of people. I don't really know who these people are. I don't have any favorability left, right, up, or down of any of these people. I'm not a consumer of their content. Now, there are some very serious allegations against H2ODelirious. And so we're going to watch the Keemstar video. We're going to go through his response to the allegations. We're going to kind of go through this. Now, a lot of people have been telling me that this person, Wrecker, is very much like a cloud chaser. Now, a lot of YouTubers, including Keemstar, are cloud chasers. What I will say here is that I'm going to look through everything as objectively as possible, of course. What I also want to say, though, is that we need to not look to Keemstar as a point of moral authority in society. He's effectively ruined any credibility he's ever had, just the way that he interacts from day to day. He's more interested in sensationalizing a story than actually getting down to the truth of it. He very clearly has made it a standard to assassinate people's character as long as it gets them the most views possible. He did that to Carson, a 19-year-old talking to a 17-year-old. He kept using the term minor instead of saying that they were 19 and 17. And then in this follow-up video, he moved the goalpost from he's talking to a minor to, well, it's a power dynamic issue. Now, just so you guys know, this is a pretty loaded situation. You can look up Papa Gut Carson. I have plenty of content on it. But basically, there are a lot of power dynamics in life. The existence of a power dynamic doesn't mean that the power dynamic is being abused. Nothing Carson said would suggest that he anywhere close to abused his power as a, famous person to get somebody to talk to him. That being said, Keemstar is like a bad guy. This is a person that has absolutely no concept of reality. He's just lacks empathy on a fundamental level. He's defended sexual assault before. When the allegations against, I think it was Jake Paul, came out, and I'm not saying the allegations are true, but he said, how can you even get assaulted in the mouth? Why don't you just close your mouth or turn your head? These are like just some of the ways you guys have to understand how dumb Keemstar is. Like, he really is. He's a bad person. And like when people, like, he's a bad person, he's a very dumb person. And when people listen to him, it creates a very toxic platform. A lot of young people, especially young men, which is usually what my content is geared towards, can be a little ignorant. And of course, it's because of your age. When you listen to somebody like Keemstar, you're poisoning your mind. He's going to have a net loss impact on you as an individual. He's going to make you dumb. Okay? I just want you to know that. There's a lot of nuances to life, especially when it comes to assault charges. Okay? And like, you guys as young men are responsible for educating yourselves on like just the way that you're supposed to interact with the world. Okay? So let's watch this. Let's just watch this. Let's watch this whole thing here. I'm sure it's going to be really painful. I hate watching Keemstar videos.
What is up, Trauma Alert Nation? I'm your host, Killer Keemstar. Let's get right into the news.
Okay.
Guys, today we have a big story. There are gaming YouTubers that have played with each other and entertained people for years and years and years that are under fire, and we are talking about the Vanoss crew. These are all massive YouTubers: H2ODelirious, Wildcat, Basically Do Work, 407, Mini Lad, Louis, Terrorizer.
Now, I know people have told me the Mini Lad situation. I haven't looked into it. A lot of people are saying he's guilty. I just don't know what it is, and I'm just letting you guys know that, so that you know that I'm not going to talk about it, because again, I'm not educated on it. I haven't looked into it.
Knuckle, Big Jiggly Panda, and so on and so on. So far, 2 people in this group have had serious allegations against them, and the problem might be much bigger than just this too. So today we're going to interview a insider. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Wrecker on the line. Okay, let's talk about this wildly successful group, the Vanoss crew. You know, these guys have been playing video games and entertaining on YouTube for many years. Each one of them has millions and millions of subs. They get millions and millions of views playing video games together. And 2 people in the group over the last couple years have had serious allegations against them. One of them being Mini Lad, who,
Look at the wife's Twitter.
allegedly was, I shouldn't even say allegedly because he admitted it, but, was having inappropriate conversations with underage fans, which he apologized for, and he's still in the mud over that situation. And then about a week ago, a Google Doc dropped against Louis, which had all kinds of different various allegations, ex-girlfriends treating girls like crap, allegedly, being sent back and forth, some underage, according to the Google Doc. And you used to play with this group and make videos with them, and you have more inside information than most people. And so we were talking, and you said that the problem is much bigger than just Mini Lad and Louis. It's much bigger in this group.
Yeah, well, and that doc, I mean, when they dropped it, they had all sorts of evidence, including these audio clips with Louis.
So this has nothing to do with Delirious. We're gonna watch it just in case something relevant comes up, but I'm maintaining this video specifically to H2ODelirious,
where he, in his words, had said that there was exchanging of nudes, essentially. Like he was saying, like, I, grabbed nudes out of a group chat. And of course you could say, okay, well, what group chat is he talking about? It could be anybody. But then he specifically said, I wish I got their nudes. I wish I got Delirious's nudes. And
so are you saying that, like, these guys are on a group chat, they get nudes from fans or whatever, and they exchange them with each other?
That's what Louis had said. I've heard things over the years where
okay, so that's like really shitty, and this is one of those things where we should of course stop and educate you guys on why it's not appropriate. If any person, whether you're a guy or girl, whatever, who sends you sends you nude pictures, that's for you and you only, and like you're violating their trust by showing them to anybody. It doesn't matter if it's your friend, it doesn't matter if you trust them. Like, keep that shit to yourself. That's very inappropriate. You guys need to learn to respect people when they show something very private like that. I know this is honestly like a real big issue between young kids. You guys don't understand the severity of this, but that's a fundamental trust issue. You guys should have some self-respect and not show people images that other people have sent to you when they trust you.
They seem to have had some sort of knowledge.
So this is like obviously scum shit.
Like Delirious, like the types of girls that reach out to him, and like the types of nudes like he might get, something, but it seemed like a joke at the time. But hearing this come from Louis in his own words to what I understand was somebody that he trusted, it sounds to me, based off of what he said, that there was nudes of fans being exchanged in the group chat, which
I don't like the dancing around of this
it's
topic.
A group chat on Skype, and there's also on Discord.
Sure, this group might exist. I don't like the dancing around, though, of like, if you're going to make an accusation like that, which I think is serious because it's a violation of somebody's trust and respect, then you need to own it. You say like, no, I heard this, and like this is true. This is fucking disgusting. Don't sit here and dance around it. It really lessens the impact of what you're saying, and it makes me believe that you're kind of just lying.
Now, here's the problem with this type of stuff, and we've seen it happen with Carson. It's like when
like when you use Carson as like a point, when you reference Carson in an inappropriate manner, you've lost the validity. Because if you still think that Carson did anything inappropriate, then you are morally skewed, which is obvious. I mean, Keemstar is morally skewed, of course. But this is just more evidence.
Gaming content, right? Naturally, you're going to have underage fans, right?
Yeah.
I mean, almost like TikTokers, whatever.
You see how they use the term underage fans? Like, there's no context there. Underage could mean 17. It could mean 2. Of course, in this situation, it's 17 and 19. So under the age of consent, sure. Not under the age of like an appropriate interaction or an inappropriate interaction. Stupid.
The audience is young. And some of the fans that are going to reach out to you, I mean, James Charles is going through it, right?
Charles is going through it, huh? James Charles is a really shitty, worthless individual. I really wish that people would put their foot down. Oh, Carson and James Charles. Carson, 1917. James Charles is like 22 now, or 21, and he was talking to people 14, 15, 16 years old. He got caught like how many times? Like 6 different times, and he kept doing it. That shows like that shows like an intent. Like he's doing it on purpose. He's actively seeking out people under a particular age. That's disgusting. How are you going to group Carson? And this is why people don't look at these that seriously. You want to know why James Charles isn't arrested? Because fucking idiots like this group Carson and James Charles. And you guys have to understand that this is the problem. This is one of the reasons why like YouTubers and everything don't get hit with like these serious charges. It's because you're looking at them through a drama sphere. When you use this as your your news source or your point of moral authority, all of a sudden the lines get blurred. All of a sudden maybe James Charles is just subconsciously some kind of an actor on a soap opera. Now let's compare him to Carson. People tune out. I hate it. These predatory situations are very serious, and you diminish them every day when you abuse the platform.
The people that reach out to him or the people he reaches out to, good chances are they're underage. So this has been a big problem. Now, I did talk to Louis, and I did talk to H2ODelirious last night. I wasn't able to get into too many details. I just wanted to get a blanket understanding of where both of them are coming from.
That's weird to me. Is he saying that they wouldn't give you details, or are you saying you just weren't interested in the nuances of a very serious topic because you wanted to portray a particular story for views?
Denied, all these allegations. He said that, he has treated girls horribly, right? He's a jerk. And he admitted to that, but he's like, all this other stuff is just, it's not true. And I asked him, if he ever received underage or, if he ever exchanged underage pictures or whatnot. And he said, well, I mean, he doesn't know everyone's age, but he doesn't think so.
That's
I also
obviously a
talked
problem.
to, H2O, and he basically said that, people are out to get him.
It's a kind of a problem. Like we're at a time now. It's just 2021, so like the excuses are dying off. At this day and age, there's no longer, as a large content creator, do you get the excuse that I didn't know who they were, like how old they were. It's time to start making sure that you take the responsible movement and you ask for age, and go as far as to ask for an identification. Even just young men, do the same thing. Keep yourself safe.
None of this stuff is true. But you say otherwise. Wasn't there a situation with H2O that happened? I guess you want to say like 2013 or something. You showed me some screenshots of some infighting between the group. What happened in that scenario?
Well, and let me
Yeah, no, I
comment
know
on
it's
Louis,
not.
too.
That's
I
true.
mean,
It's not
you
recent.
could listen to what Louis said in his own audio and his words, right? Those are the words that came out of his mouth, where he talks about even like underage nudes. So take that for what it is. But with
I don't know
Delirious,
words he said.
Let's just stop and play that right now.
There.
Every on websites and stuff. Yeah.
I pulled those off of every website. Okay.
All I would do is just pull from like our Discord or our group Skype and stuff like that, and just download whatever like they would post.
Okay. So it sounds like he would download the pictures that people sent to him from other fans, which is really gross. Again, this is disgusting. If I was going to go after Delirious, and this was true, I would say this is why you're a scumbag, right? You don't do that. That's a violation of somebody's privacy and trust. And I think that it's pathetic to share people's nude pictures.
I was joking because I told you once, I was like, my friends all get the better girls, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, theirs are so much better and stuff like that. And that's when I started showing you. I was like, look I wish I got these. Like, I wish I got their nudes. Like, look at this. They're so artistic and blah, blah, blah. I wish in general I got nudes sent to me, like, of people being this dedicated and devoted, like, to Delirious and all them.
Okay, yeah. So,
Right, yeah. There's a lot there. We don't know if they're underage. There can be a situation, especially in the past, where maybe somebody that looks very mature sends you a picture, and you don't know their age. Again, it's your responsibility to make sure you know the age. And it's also your responsibility to not create a safe space for people to just first message DM you pictures. I'm going to assume that's not what happened. And if they were engaging, this is all speculative, with people that were underage, they weren't asking age, you just don't do that. Like, stop creating safe spaces for people, women specifically, that like your content to like be like, yeah, let me send you pictures. That you shouldn't be at the picture stage until you know how old they are. This seems pretty obvious. This has apparently happened like 10 years ago or 8 years ago. It's still gross, but like, you know, I wouldn't consider it predatory in the sense of knowing age, because it seems like they were just not bothered. I don't know why there's this trend of not giving a shit, but I suppose that was the moral prescriptions of the past. At least we're more mature now. So
the issue with this audio is we don't really know the context. Like, all this stuff has been kind of cut up.
yes,
I wish we could better understand this context. I understand this situation. How you explained it to me is this happened in 2013, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
all right, so that's like, was that 8 years ago?
Delirious, allegedly, his friends were worried that he
think
was
that's when he
talking
was 25, right?
inappropriately to someone underage, right? They set him up, and
Again, like, you can't just say it's very important to be consistent here. So yeah, I think he was 25 years old at the time. You can't just say underage, whether you like it or not. Like, there's a difference between a 17-year-old and like a 4-year-old, like, or a 13-year-old. It's still gross for a 25-year-old to interact with a 17-year-old, but like, the nuance matters, the details matter in these very complex situations.
send a girl to go flirt with him or something, and then he engages in some, online
Ultimately, basically,
Did you just skip that's it?
engages in some, online.
So, well, that's a weird cut for me, because I don't know, like, what did you say? Did you say like the term sexting? Why did you remove it? Did you feel like you're gonna get demonetized, or did you just feel like you didn't want to like propose some kind of a lie? I'm a little confused and concerned.
Ultimately, basically, I do work in a guy named Executioner.
And we have Omwrecker's response. We'll read it after this video.
I collaborated with a girl named Brie Allen, and she's 17 years old. They wanted her to record what went down with Delirious, how things went. And you can see the screenshots between them. And again, I've heard about this situation before, so I know that this situation happened.
Okay.
But there was this big blow up in 2013 where Delirious was upset. He got recorded, and you've got Wildcat saying, yeah, he's jerking off with a minor. Several times they recorded, and you've got Wildcat saying, yeah, he's jerking off with a
this image is of a minor. This is still group Skype chat. I mean, this isn't even on the fly, but damn. How are you gonna beat your meat on a group Skype chat? I mean, this isn't on the fly, but damn. Hold the fuck up. Yeah, he was in a Skype video chat with a minor. Okay, so he was in a video chat with the
minor. Several times they mentioned that she's a minor. It was known. And yeah, I mean, they had this recording of Delirious that was going around the group, and they were mocking him for it.
Well,
and
so if there's a recording of Delirious being 25 knowing that they were 17, can we listen to it? Can we confirm that?
One, Delirious is obviously in the wrong, right? If this really did happen, he's caught in 4K. Bad, right? But what about his friends or alleged friends that put this 17-year-old in this situation to set him up? Well, like, aren't they just...
I'm surprised that Keemstar made like an intelligible point. Like, yeah, that's a good point. What about his friends that tried to encourage him to sex with a 17-year-old and allowed it to go through, right? That's effectively, by all accounts, using an underage like a minor in order to set somebody up to look guilty. That you're complicit in that at that point.
To blame?
Oh yeah. I mean, the whole situation is up. I know that even like the predator poachers, they've gotten some flack for supposedly like using a minor as a decoy before. Like they
interesting predator poachers. Okay.
Guys essentially weaponized a 17-year-old girl to set Delirious up, and then recorded it. So they have phone sex, allegedly between Delirious and the 17-year-old that they spread around.
I know that this is nitpicking, but I think it's appropriate. So before where we were suggesting the idea that he looked at a picture of this girl, and then we referred to it as phone sex. And so, like, I generally, if I was going to refer to like a webcam interaction, I wouldn't call it phone sex. I know that maybe I'm nitpicking, but I think it's very important.
So it's just the whole situation is messed up.
Listen, this group, right? They still make videos and they still, make gaming content together today, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, there's some skeletons in some closets, especially when you've been online this long. Do you feel that, accountability needs to happen for all this stuff that happened a long time ago?
What does that mean?
Or
What does
are you
accountability mean to
suggesting that
you?
you think that, fans, underage fans of this group, gaming group, are still potentially in danger?
I mean, for me, like I said, my focus, I mean, I only just found this stuff a couple months ago, where it started to surface. And then coincidentally, Louis goes and makes comments in his own recording. But, I feel like in the past we've seen accountability put on people for things in the past, right? For example, when you had covered Basher, right? So the
I don't know
Basher
who
stuff
that
was pretty
is.
old, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I think that's up to the viewers. For me, like I said, my goal was to address a blatant lie that Terrorizer put out that caused a lot of damage, and then I come across this. The second I come across this stuff, and there's so much more to this, and
So then
you've only
tell
seen a
us.
small portion.
Well,
For example, screenshots.
Maybe we need to do a part two. But
Yeah.
but for right now, just to
If there, I don't like the there's so much more comment, because you're in a position where you could very easily compile the so much more and you could show it to us immediately. And so like I don't like that because they're from where I'm sitting right now, it seems like there's not so much more. It seems like that's just language used to say, hey, it's worse than you think, or at least it's what I want you to think.
That happened between Delirious and that. I just find it strange that there's this group, this very successful group of gamers, right, that have been making this content for years. I mean, people love them. Like when I DM'd H2O last night on Twitter, people responded, be like, "Oh, please do not be bad. Like this is my childhood. Like don't mess with this, right?"
Yeah.
People love these guys, but this group. Like, you have these allegations against Louis. You have these allegations against Mini Lad. Like, how deep is this, right? If the stuff about H2O is true, is real,
there does seem, and this is kind of retracting and being a little bit more general, but there does seem to be an issue with content creators on YouTube especially, or I guess on social media, who grew up as content creators where they haven't matured emotionally, because they're still making content for kids, and they maintain these spaces like the online video game space where you're having a bunch of young kids as your audience, and so like you don't mentally mature. I know this sounds like an interesting point, but it's like somebody who's 18 years old in high school is less mature than somebody who's 18 years old who had to drop out of high school at 16 and had to get into the workforce. Your environment definitely does have an impact on how mature you are, and it seems like people like James Charles is one of them, that they just don't see how it's inappropriate to talk to these people who are very much underage, because they still think that they don't understand the boundaries. They're in that headspace. They still think that it's appropriate. It's a really weird, and you mix in the lack of growing up with them having fame and money, which generally I would say makes people care less about the rules as well. It's just like it's a recipe for destruction, and I think that this is very unique to our time because we're starting to see people who have grown up in this online YouTube space. This is like the first social experiment of giving people a lot of money at a young age and then maintaining an immature space for them to work in.
3 in the group, and then and if that's real, then basically do work, set him up, which is also horrible. And who was it? Executioner?
Executioner.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like that's like 5 people in the group. Like,
and look at, I mean, there's even screenshots with Wildcat engaging Breland when she was 17, saying really inappropriate stuff. I mean, you could see signs that, in my opinion, it's grooming. It wasn't just Breland, it was Meow Michelle And there's several other girls too that we were finding that were interacting with different guys. They were soliciting nudes
listen,
actively.
Listen, I hate this. I hate this. I need you to understand. I come from a real world perspective where I know people who have been very seriously impacted by things like sexual assault and grooming. I hate throwing the word grooming around. You guys don't understand how deep the idea of grooming is. It's just like a word to some people, and it makes me very angry because it diminishes what grooming is. EDP was trying to groom that person he was talking to. Grooming isn't just soliciting nudes from somebody underage. Grooming is trying to create a dependency of that person onto you. As EDP was talking to that girl, he would say things that would drive a wedge between that person and their parents. And I know that it was just a decoy, but the language is still there. He would try to drive a wedge between the girl and her parents and try to create a level of dependency onto him, emotional and physical dependency onto him. That's grooming. That's grooming. There's a methodical aspect. And as inappropriate as it is to solicit nudes from people, especially underage, it's not the same as grooming. Grooming is very, very, very serious. It's a very serious, intentional, methodical thing. And we have to stop using words because we like the flavor of them.
Let's hit timeout real quick because, look, right, maybe all this stuff is 100% true and all this went down and they're all bad for it. But if this happened way back in 2013, how old were these guys? They could have been minors themselves.
No, they weren't. They weren't.
You didn't just do a simple fact check and just be like, this guy was 25?
How old were they?
Delirious was in his mid-20s. Delirious, I think, is approaching his mid-30s now. I think he's 34. But then you've got... I
think he would be 25.
Wildcat was 20 years old. Basically, I Do Work, I think, is just turning 30, so he was in his early 20s. I mean, none of these guys were minors, and... I also want to point out, to what you kind of touched on, when this Mini Lad stuff came out, and even Louis, the guy stayed silent on it. The only person that reached out to me was Nogla, and Nogla actually criticized me and tried to make me feel guilty for cutting ties with Mini Lad and Louis, saying that I had really hurt Mini. These are guys that I feel have been
proof of that?
Well aware. This is an allegation, but. I feel that they've been aware of these things that have been going on, and they've stayed silent. I think the silence speaks volumes, because I think any other group by now would have said something, denounced what they're doing, right? Like, friends or not.
I mean, you've seen it with the Carson situation, right?
My God,
there was only one guy in the group of Carson's friend group that wanted to tell the world. Everyone else was just like, I want to stay silent. I don't want to be involved.
Dude, right? I hate this. I hate this Carson. Like, he just keeps referring back to Carson, a 19-year-old young man talking to a 17-year-old. This is what makes you tune out. If this situation was real and you kept hearing this makes you tune out. Because he's trying to morally load the situation fucking Carson as a point of reference. Please, you have to stop. This man effectively single-handedly assassinated Carson's career, and it's fucking disgusting. It's so pathetic. It's literally pathetic. I can't express that enough.
And it's cowardly, but also they're afraid of backlash. Are you afraid of backlash coming out and telling the world about this stuff? Because I mean, you're a massive YouTuber. I mean, you have something to lose.
Oh yeah.
If this goes bad.
Well, they've been threatening me, dude. Like I've legit been getting threatened since last June. Right. Everything from lawsuits to they'll all gang pile me. They were really afraid of having a cartoon that they were doing called Alpha Betas. Dragged through the mud or canceled because of this, because they saw what happened with PewDiePie.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that was an inappropriate comic or whatever.
I've had violent threats from not just the group, but also even some fans. I've had
Mini Lad, right? Like his situation. One, we wanted him to actually take accountability, and he eventually did.
Yeah.
And now, he doesn't have the power and influence that he once had, which you shouldn't if you're going to abuse your fans like that. Do you think that something similar should happen with, H2O, Louis?
Well, I think this goes for any creator. There should always be accountability for the things that you do. I've certainly had my fair share where, people have tried to keep me in check at times. And yeah, I think it's up to the viewers out there. For me, I mean, I could tell you that I think that they should be denouncing Mini Lad and Louis, but beyond that, they should also be dealing with their own wrongs, right? Instead of like continuing to brush this under the rug. I mean, they've been deleting thousands of tweets, tens of millions of video views.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna link a Google drive or whatever that you sent me of all these deleted tweets that have happened. And if you look at their social blades, I mean, you could see that they've been frantically deleting tweets recently.
Yes,
So
thousands.
I mean, that looks bad. I mean, look, there's going to be people that say, where's the evidence? Where's the proof? Well, you have all these tweets that they've just recently deleted that reference the situation that you're talking about that allegedly happened. I mean, that's where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
The tweets in question. I'm just doing a quick glance through them. They seem to be tweets about this current situation and how he's a pedophile. And so, I mean, if he's being falsely accused of being a pedophile, I could see why he's deleting the tweets.
And
if there's an explanation for these tweets other than what they say, I would love to hear it. And obviously H2O, Louis, Mini Lad,
Wildcat, even you'll see Wildcat.
All these people, right? My platform is yours, and if you want to come on and kind of defend this stuff, you have an open invitation. You're
probably better off not coming on to Keemstar's show to defend yourself.
7 people, 8 people, and so many are getting hit with these allegations.
Mm-hmm. And let me tell you this, it's not the end of it. I talked to one victim in particular. She doesn't want to be part of this, but she even reported Delirious to the police, allegedly, for child pornography.
Wait, why would you say allegedly? What? That's weird. So he's saying, hey, somebody told me that they reported him to the police, but allegedly. Well, why would you say that it's an alleged reporting if they told you that it was a reporting and you trust them?
Something
it's
else.
Weird
so
to me.
Again, I know she doesn't want to be involved, but she also, well, I can't tell you too much. I've talked to the girl. I've heard her story. Like, this is not the end of this. I'm certain of it.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Well, guys, we're going to have to leave it there. But yeah, we're going to stay on this story. And if you guys want a part 2, we can have Amrecker back on to talk about some of the other allegations that are happening within this group. Make sure you leave a like if you're
great. I don't care. Okay, so we watched that. That was kind of a lot of nothing. So the claim is that he talked to a 17-year-old when he was 25, and he basically had some form of phone sex. So let's look into this. So this is Delirious's response to it. So let's listen or watch it, or let me just read it rather. That would be the right. Okay. I do want to address one thing that has been said that has been completely misrepresented. It's something that I have for many years been embarrassed about and destroyed my trust for years. I never wanted to have to talk about this. I still don't, but it's being forced on me. 9 years ago, and that's when he was 25, 2 people thought it would be funny to do something really messed up as a form of hazing on me. It's no secret I was easily excited and very crude when I was in my early 20s, which isn't an excuse to be inappropriate. Someone I had played with a few times prior on Xbox messaged me saying they were only wearing a towel. This caught my attention and interest. She invited me to the voice call, and this led to an equivalent of phone sex. At the time, I did not know her or anything about her. I was just excited a woman was coming on to me out of nowhere. That's kind of pathetic. This was before any of us were big on YouTube. I was dumb. A week or so later, I started hearing from a group about an audio recording of me with her. I was shocked, felt violated, betrayed, and to this day, I can't bring myself to fully forgive them for this. It came to light that the two got the lady to message me, coming on to me and saying those things just to record it. She was on call with them the whole time, and they recorded it and shared it. I'm so embarrassed and ashamed still. I, to this day, don't know if this part is true, but while I was being taunted for it, they also said that the woman wasn't a woman at all and only 17. I don't know if she was, or if it was just said to make me feel worse. I was furious with everyone involved, but at the advice of others in the group, that it was best we all cut the crap and move on. I let it go. Now it's being brought back to light, and I hate to have to talk about it. I don't want to name who. They know who they are, and it sucks. Well, first of all, this is a little bit woe is me for somebody who apparently engaged with somebody that was 17. I do think it's your responsibility to ask age. Unfortunately, 8 years ago, the social landscape was drastically different. I know this is weird, but like this kind of shit was more appropriate to society. I'm not saying personally it's more appropriate. I'm saying we didn't understand. We really didn't, as a society, have like a deeper understanding of like age and asking for age. We honestly need to teach, especially men, younger men, teach them to ask for age and make sure they create spaces of, equal consent that are comfortable for women. That being said, seems like this was a voice call. If it's a video, they should simply just show the video. They tried to suggest it was a video in the Keemstar thing, Ohmwrecker, but it seems like it was just a voice call. Ohmwrecker even slipped and used the word phone sex. Not knowing somebody's age, it's an interesting concept. There's a lot here. A 17-year-old, if they do lie about their age, can obviously look like they're of a legal age. Now, he said he didn't know what they looked like. It's still gross, and you should ask for age. But I'd say, okay, you didn't ask for age. Shame on, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Am I right? So this is one of those things where I talk about, like, yeah, you can have a little bit of a pass if you don't ask for age. I still think it's gross and irresponsible, but we're in 2020. He was 25 at the time. Whole situation is gross. But this isn't a predatory advance. I also think it's disgusting that you would put a minor up to doing this. I think that you're just as complicit in it, because you didn't just put a minor up to trying to catch them, and their inappropriate shit. You put them up to it specifically to apparently he engaged with her. She went through the motions of the phone sex. So you're also gross. At the end of the day, based on this, it's certainly not a predator. Anyway, there's a lot of tweets that are going on here. Apparently, I found this interesting. There's this here that says, I just saw everything blow up on Twitter, and it's given me the courage to speak out. I figured since you were the one that helped uncover what the group has been doing, I thought this would be better, and I didn't. I don't know if the mob on Twitter will believe me. 8 years ago, when I was 15, I received a message from Delirious on Twitter, and we started talking. I told him from the start I wasn't of age, and he didn't seem to care or mind. Skype info was provided at the time. We had a lot of fun. He'd never show us his cam, which suggests, okay, whatever, his cam, but I could hear him the whole time as I presented myself to him. This had gone on for weeks until one evening after school, I discovered that I was blocked on Skype and Twitter. I contemplated making a fuss on social media, but no one would listen. My mind was racing and I was spiraling. Feelings of resentment and depression clouded me. I made an attempt on my life until I finally confessed to my parents what happened. There wasn't anything we could do. We called the police because it was online and didn't have the clout he does now. There wasn't anything they could do but file a report with the authorities were called. Seeing what happened today, though, is giving me hope that justice might actually happen. I'm currently in the process of getting back into the Skype account, and I can have the logs ready for you if you still need them. Hope this actually helps. So yeah, this is fake. So somebody apparently just made that and sent it to Ohmwrecker, and it's fake. They faked it. They sent it to Ohmwrecker, and it seems like that's the people everything is fake. Like this guy says, looks familiar, looks legit, right? Thought you all might want to see this. 1,000% of the email is false because I wrote it from an alt account I just made tonight, and Ohm is using it as a gospel. Literally, it is fake. And what this shows is that Ohmwrecker, this was the person that Ohmwrecker was talking about where somebody reported him to the police. This is the problem. You need to get it. This is a very damning thing. You're saying somebody is a predator. And so they even said, I can have the logs ready for you if you still need them. You would say, yes, get me the logs before I move forward. You can't just be irresponsible. I hate this new thing where people just call each other. Do you know how terrible this is for the landscape for catching predators when you just label everybody a predator? It's horrible. It makes people tune out. All right. It literally normalizes this stuff. When you call everybody a pedophile, even when there's literally no evidence, this is what makes people tune out to the word. Do you know how disgusting it is? Disgusting it is to predatorize children. We have 30-year-olds talking to 14-year-olds. We have 30-year-olds talking to 14-year-olds, and people are just not caring. Because we're just weaponizing the word. It's fucking incredible. It's incredible. It's fucking insane. But anyway, Omrecker was using that as gospel, like they said. He removed those tweets. This is a whole conversation. I'm not going to go through it. I went through a little bit of the stuff. It's just apparently like denouncing the credibility of Omrecker. It has really nothing to do with the situation. I'm not particularly interested in it. It's just a bunch of text. At this point, this is kind of devolving into a bunch of stupid bullshit drama, which I suppose it was from the start. Now, this is where this here is kind of, to me, it's very telling of how unserious this situation is. This is a tweet from Omrecker. A man who is admitted to have engaged in bad stuff with an underage 17-year-old girl tried to come at me with personal attacks with a whole group defending the situation instead of standing against it. Tries to call me a cheater. Yet a girl reached out with this. So apparently this is some girl reached out to him. This is the girl. This is she has an OnlyFans, and I guess the guy, what the hell is it, Delirious, excuse me, message and say, I want to see this surprise. And then she said, ask nicely, and then he said, please, and then she sent him the surprise. And then afterwards, it turns out that he says, I feel like I should ask this, but since I kind of sent you pictures, but are you seeing anyone? I just don't want to cause you any problems like that. Yes, I am. She's here with me now. Oh, I feel bad. You are too right. I assumed you are. Seen you had a kid her. Am I wrong? LOL, don't feel bad. She does the same thing as OF. Okay, so first of all, if he's a cheater, it's gross, but like I don't care. Cheating and pedophilia are very different, and I just personally don't give a shit. Second of all, it seems like this might have just been like a weird OnlyFans interaction. It makes me care even less. Also, the wife knows about it. Apparently, she does something akin to OnlyFans, so the wife may not even care. She said that she reached out to her in these messages, and there's more to the story. Personally, I just don't care. Like, this is shit that doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't. Even if he did cheat on his wife, that's between him and his wife, and if his wife is okay with it, I can think he's a bad person, but like, I mean, this is now at this point what happened. So basically, this seems to be what my first impression. This is my first impression here. Now, first of all, there might be more to come. I have no idea. Here's my impression, that this whole thing is being blown out of proportion. They got debunked on the narrative that he actively and willingly participated in some kind of sexting with a minor. And so they moved the goalpost to like, oh, well, he's a bad guy because he cheated on his wife. This isn't... You know, I make a lot of my content about trying to catch... I have a lot of videos about people with predatory interactions, and I talk about it a lot. And this is diminishing to it. It seems like now when people want to just assassinate someone's character, they just scream the word pedophile, and Keemstar platforms that person because it's a juicy gossip. Hey everyone, if you liked that video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to follow my Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Discord, and TikTok. All links are in the description. Also, check out my Patreon if you'd like to support me even more than you already do. Thank you so much, everyone. I love you all.